Ancient Egypt, known for its monumental pyramids, majestic pharaohs, and advances in writing, architecture, and art, is also home to a much darker history. Beneath the grandeur and the awe-inspiring achievements lies a world of secrets and practices that are both shocking and terrifying. In this video, we're diving deep into the shadowy corners of ancient Egyptian civilization to uncover 10 dark things that will send chills down your spine. 1. The brutal reality of pyramid construction. While the pyramids of Giza stand as testaments to human ingenuity, their construction was anything but glorious for those who built them. Contrary to the popular belief that the pyramids were built by slaves, recent discoveries suggest that the laborers were conscripted farmers and workers who were forced into grueling labor under harsh conditions. They toiled under the hot sun, moving massive limestone blocks without advanced machinery. Injuries, exhaustion, and death were common, with the workers receiving only minimal sustenance in return for their immense efforts. 2. The grisly practice of human sacrifice. Human sacrifice in ancient Egypt was not as prevalent as in some other ancient cultures, but it did occur, particularly during the early dynastic period. Some pharaohs believed that they needed to take servants with them to the afterlife, leading to the burial of live attendants alongside their dead ruler. These attendants, often young and in their prime, were given a fatal dose of poison or were ritually strangled before being buried in the pharaoh's tomb. 3. Mummification. The dark art of preserving the dead. Mummification is one of the most well-known practices of ancient Egypt, but the process itself is rather disturbing. The embalmers removed the deceased's internal organs, including the brain, which was often extracted through the nostrils using a hook. The body was then dehydrated using natron, a type of salt, and wrapped in linen. The preservation of the body was essential for the deceased's journey to the afterlife, but the process was invasive and gruesome. 4. The use of curses to protect tombs. Ancient Egyptians believed deeply in the power of curses, especially to protect the sanctity of their tombs. Pharaohs and nobles would often inscribe curses on the walls of their tombs, threatening dire consequences for anyone who dared to disturb their eternal rest. These curses, written in hieroglyphs, were intended to invoke fear and were believed to unleash supernatural forces upon the tomb robbers. The curse of Tutankhamun, which supposedly led to the deaths of several people involved in the opening of his tomb, is one of the most famous examples of these curses. 5. The harrowing reality of child sacrifice. Child sacrifice, though not widespread, was practiced in some periods of ancient Egyptian history. This dark ritual was often conducted during times of great crisis, such as famine or war, in the belief that sacrificing a child would appease the gods and bring an end to the suffering. Archaeological evidence suggests that these sacrifices were sometimes performed in secret and that the children were often of noble birth, chosen for their purity and innocence. 6. The manipulation of power. The case of Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut, one of ancient Egypt's few female pharaohs, rose to power in a male-dominated society through cunning and manipulation. To secure her position, she depicted herself as a man in statues and reliefs, even wearing the traditional false beard of the pharaohs. After her death, her successor, Thutmose III, sought to erase her from history by defacing her monuments and removing her name from records. This erasure was a calculated attempt to obliterate her legacy and to reassert male dominance in the royal lineage. 7. The disturbing practice of retainer sacrifice. Similar to human sacrifice, retainer sacrifice involved the killing of servants, guards, and even animals to accompany a deceased pharaoh into the afterlife. This practice was more common during the early dynastic periods and was believed to ensure that the pharaoh would have all the necessary resources and protection in the afterlife. The retainers, who were often loyal servants or soldiers, were buried alive or killed immediately after the pharaoh's death. 8. The dark side of Egyptian medicine. While ancient Egypt is often praised for its advances in medicine, some of their practices were shockingly brutal. Egyptian doctors used a variety of treatments that we would consider horrifying today, such as drilling holes in the skull to relieve pressure, a practice known as trepanation, using crocodile dung as a contraceptive, and applying mixtures of honey and powdered stone to wounds. While some of their methods were effective, others were painful and potentially deadly. 9. The exploitation of slaves and foreign workers. Though ancient Egypt is often romanticized, the reality for many was harsh, especially for slaves and foreign workers. These individuals were often captured in wars or bought through trade and were forced into laborious tasks such as mining, quarrying, and construction. The conditions in which they worked were brutal, with little regard for their well-being. Many died from overwork, malnutrition, or mistreatment. 10. The dark rituals of the cult of Osiris. The cult of Osiris, one of the most prominent religious sects in ancient Egypt, was known for its secretive and dark rituals. Osiris, the god of the dead, was believed to hold the power of resurrection, and his followers practiced rituals that symbolized death and rebirth. Some of these rituals involved symbolic reenactments of dismemberment, echoing the myth of Osiris being cut into pieces by his brother Set. These practices were often shrouded in mystery and were intended to secure a place in the afterlife for the participants. The splendor of ancient Egypt is undeniable, but so too is its dark side. From human sacrifices to brutal medical practices, the history of this ancient civilization is filled with secrets that are both fascinating and horrifying. These dark aspects of Egyptian history remind us that even the most advanced societies can have their shadows. As we continue to unearth the mysteries of ancient Egypt, we must remember that history is not just about the achievements and grandeur, but also about the darker truths that shape the lives of those who came before us. If you found this video intriguing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the shadowy corners of history. Subscribe to our channel for more shocking and fascinating historical content. What other dark secrets do you want to uncover? Let us know in the comments below.